we waiting for somebody?
Sir, we can start.
Okay. Good evening, members, and we welcome you to this webinar. And before we start, I request you to kindly rise for our institute motto.
Shreyansh, are you there? Yes, Vipul, sir, you can continue.
Yeah. Welcome once again, members, and sorry due to some technical issue, I was out. And I welcome both the speakers, CA Narasingham and CA Vikas, And first session will be taken by CA Narasingham. And I request our past convener, CA Lalit Panchal, to give a brief introduction of him.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for this opportunity. CA Narasimhan Elangovan has many degrees under his belt. He's BCom, he's FCA, he's CS, DISA, he has done diploma in IFR from UK. He's CISA qualified from USA, he's LLP, he's CD, PSC from USA. He's partner of KEN Company and senior advisor, digital security services in Crow Advisory Services India LLP. He is a futurist, a GRC professional keynote speaker. His areas of practice include data analytics, risk-based audit, privacy, impact assessments, internal audits, information systems assurance, internal financial controls, and SOX compliance and SOC audits. In the past few years, he has also been advising in the emerging areas of technology such as AI, blockchain, cloud computing, and cybersecurity and big data. He has regularly spoken on these domains in the national and international forums. He has assisted a wide variety of entities from startup to large corporates in the fields of BFSI, telecom, retail, fintech startups, airline, e-commerce, government of foreign countries, and many other cross-functional organizations. He is a faculty for various courses on blockchain technology. He has authored more than 4 books. He is a regular speaker on technology at various national and international conferences. And he has been identified as one of the top 10 influential consulting leaders 2020, an annual recognition for torchbearers in the consulting sphere by CEO Insights magazine. With this brief introduction, sir, welcome to Borivali Central CP Study Circle, and please accept this memento on our behalf. We will also contribute ₹500 towards Chartered Accountant Benevolent Fund from Borivali Central CP Study Circle with your name, as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. You may start your session.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Could you please confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see that.
Fantastic. Dear participants, a very, very warm welcome, and thank you so much for joining in. I understand we are in a busy season, a festive season, a couple of days action packed with festivals lined up, and a lot of interesting things going on in the next few days. And October is always a busy season with festivities. So really appreciate the time you're taking out for this session. And today I'm going to keep it very crisp and precise in the interest of all of our time, because today we are all having too many things to do and very limited time. So I'm going to keep it very crisp and precise, trying to solve or trying to give you 3 or 4 different thoughts. And more importantly, how do you implement those thoughts into action? That's my thought process. Let me give you a background before I get started. Let's see what's going on in and around us. We are noticing a whole lot of new perspectives coming into the profession. There's a whole lot of new perspectives. We are noticing millennial chartered accountants, millennial article staff. We are noticing that we are finding some automation of finance function. Everybody is talking about RPA, AI, analytics, whatever that is on one side. We are noticing on the other side certain interesting aspects with regard to maybe if I can call regulatory landscape. GST audit was removed. There is some sort of a discussion on NAFRA, powers, roles, responsibilities. All those things are going on the other side. Equally on the other side, we will have to look into one very important principle. What am I as a chartered accountant adding value in this entire chain? It could be a B2C, you're doing with a B2B, whatever service provider, whatever type of organization, right? What am I adding value? How am I adding value? Those are very basic questions which we need to introspect. Point number 1. Point number 2, where am I heading into the future? What is my roadmap? What is it that I have lined up? What is it that I can do it in the future? Correct? Because tomorrow we're going to have a system which is going to be fairly automated, system driven, lot of triggers, and a whole lot of new set of rules is going to be applicable. Given this scenario, it's obviously going to become challenging, or it's obviously going to become more difficult on how we look into profession in the same manner. I could probably compare this with one of the changes or one of the updates which happened at the time of this industrial revolution. Now, if you've seen that discovery immediately after the motor car was invented, there was a big fear that all those people who know how to ride a horse carriage, they were all carried away saying that, hey, I'm losing my job and things like that. Now, that is a sort of a perception mentally it is actually created within our profession. And one solution which can actually help you out in getting across or moving this or navigating this path is getting yourself digitally upgraded. And if I want to get digitally upgraded, what is the starting point? The starting point is DCMM 2.0, Digital Competency Maturity Model. Now, what is this? Why did it come? This is a model which came up based on a lot of experienced chartered accountants thought process. The DCMM 1 came up about 4 to 5 years back. And then I had an opportunity to work along with another chartered accountant, Guru Prasad from Bangalore. Both of us together, we said that we have to revamp this to make with the latest trends. This was, of course, happened pre-COVID, but I think very soon we should come up with DCMM 3.0. That's where we are heading into. Anyways, be that as it may. What exactly is this is what we're going to demystify, and how is it that I can digitally mature my firm? Okay, so these are a few questions which we are going to ask, and we are going to probably take it further from here. I think an intro about myself was given. I'm not going to speak too much onto that. I'm going to quickly skip on to that. What are we seeing in the post-COVID era? A bunch of these real things or real challenging aspects which is taking place. One is that we are noticing an era of digital epiphany. When I use the word digital epiphany, I'm saying that, hey, there's a whole lot of sudden realization of digital. Suddenly you realize that, what I have not done in the past, or some part of it I've probably missed out, and some sort of a realization. And that realization is such that you realize that the importance as of now. Right? And at the same time, you also realize that we're all seeing automation. We're talking about people investing into technology, fintech evolution. I don't know, a bunch of all these fancy jargons are actually coming up. And we're also trying to see how well the workplace technology can be used. How well are we going to improvise the efficiency? Technology is impacting almost every department, every activity which we do. And COVID-19 has just accelerated that. So with all these things going on, my real question is, am I so very automated? What am I doing? What is my pathway? To take it very simple. First, if I actually look back and say, hey, have I automated my office? Everybody says, no, I'm using work from home. I've enabled VPN. I'm using cloud-based accounting software. Therefore, I've automated. Well, the answer is not just that. Automation is a regular exercise. It is standardization, improvisation, and ensuring that without even a human intervention, systems can function smoothly. This image summarizes everything in a gist. Humans are hooked. Machines are learning. And that's the reality. With AI coming into play, I don't know where we are actually going to head into profession. Let me just give you a very, very simple but effective way in which how AI is used or can be used in our own offices. Okay, I'm just going to quickly flip screen and I'm going to Microsoft Excel. A simple spreadsheet, whatever you notice. Okay. Oftentimes, if you get a data set like this, you will start analyzing what is it that I can do, I cannot do, and things like that. But what is forgotten or what is not looked into is how can I use AI in a better way? I'll give a very simple example. I go to this home tab, I click on this option called Analyze Data. I use Microsoft 365, which is the latest version. I click on Analyze Data. The moment I click on Analyze Data, it is automatically analyzing the data which you notice over here. Through AI, it is doing a bunch of these exercises. Now, all that I have to do is insert a simple pivot table. Thanks to AI, it has already done this classification. Or if I don't like that, I want sales by product type, I can just go ahead and insert it. Or I want which of the user IDs is majority of the sales. What is the class interval, units class sold. If I have to do some stratification, my dear friends, everything is ready in a click of a button out here. And that, my dear friends, is the reality. You need not sit and analyze huge sets of data. You have everything ready and handy. The focus is only on, can I use tools to get better? And what more, you can actually chat with your data. For example, which is the most common color? It gives you the count. Or, arrange, or maybe, arrange product, say product type by sale count. Here you go. Which is the highest, which is the lowest. It gives you all these things, right? If you want such information today, my dear friends, it's all about adapting to the technology. The question is, have we gone to that stage, right? And this is a very nice, interesting article, and this is something which I highly recommend you to read. It's called Future of Jobs Survey 2020 by the World Economic Forum. It's forecast that in 5 to 10 years down the lane, there are multiple jobs which will decrease in demand. And this because of intervention of technology, the way it's being used. And the jobs which are perhaps going to disappear are data entry clerks, accounting, bookkeeping, and auditors, and chartered account or accountants for that matter. So what are we trying to say? What is it that we have to do? We need to get ourselves digitally ready. The question is, where do I start? And that is where the best method is to do an assessment of yourself, of your firm. And the way you can do that assessment is this particular document, Digital Competency Maturity Model. It is a model for any sort of a professional firm on how you can digitally upgrade and upskill yourselves. It's called as Digital Competency Maturity Model, okay? And it comprises of few sections, okay? We'll of course going to take you through that on how you can get yourself better. It's a simple self-help checklist, but the beauty is it is not just a checklist, it also gives you with guidance notes, meaning or implementation pointers. In case you notice that you are not able to do something better, these are the things which you can do. Correct? A DCM 1.0 was released in 2017. It gave a minimum set of requirements basis which a firm can evaluate on a self-assessment basis. It can build a strategy for upskilling to leverage the opportunities which will sort of unfold in this digital space. So DCM 2.0 turned out to be an upgraded version of 1.0, where three major things came into picture. One is adaptation of advanced and emerging technologies came up as a separate section. Two, a detailed implementation guide. Because earlier version, what happened was it merely told that you can do this, you cannot do this, or this is your score. It did not tell what do I do if my score was bad. That is where the DCM 2.0 came as a handy guide with an implementation guide. Third, we decided that all fingers are not equal. Every CA firm has their own perspective. What we did was discipline-specific categorization based on the firm's profile. We came up with a simple discipline-specific categorization. What you can do here, what you can do here, what you can do there. A discipline-specific categorization. And what this brought in is specialization. What this brought in is consistency. What this brought in is trying to solve every firm's majority of the perspective and the problem. So what does the DCMM 2.0 consist of? It consists of 4 sections, as I told you. Section A talks about level of automations of the firm's internal process. A very basic thing, your billing software. How many of us have a billing software for sending invoices? Because today billing itself is a major constraint. We forget to bill many times, right? We have done the work, we forget to bill. correct? So billing software, document management system. How do I take care of the document management system, right? How am I safeguarding what all this? Am I having a CRM solution? How are my staff tracking attendance? How am I tracking work? Do I have antivirus solution? What are the measures of cybersecurity? A very basic set of things. Second, resources. Do I have qualified resource pool, for developing all these things? Attracting talent, retaining talent, developing staff, HR, whatever. 3 is your specialization, discipline specific categorization, audit, compliance, tax, accounting, management consulting service. All of these discipline specific categorization is what we have mentioned out here. And not to forget towards the 4th, adaptation of advanced and emerging technologies, right? So what is it that we have? What are we adopting? What are the technologies which we are using and things like that? And that is where you get a whole lot of a difference in thinking of how you can get started with this. And what are the assessment results going to be? Are you going to get a scorecard, math? No. The logic is very simple. Your firm or you as a CA or a proprietorship, partnership, whatever, LLP, you will be coming under any of these 3 categories. Level 1 indicates that the firm is a very nascent stage. You're just adopting technology. Level 2 is that there is some sort of a progress, but you still have a longer way. Level 3 is you have some process maturity, but you need to continuously keep on doing it. You can probably explore these newer opportunities, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and all those. So what we'll do is for the next few minutes, because I have, another 20 odd minutes to take you through, we'll try to do a walkthrough of this particular guide. And how do I do a walkthrough of it? Very simple. I am going to take you through a simple web browser. Okay, I'm just going to take you through ica.org. You can just type ica.org space DCMM. Okay, it will take you to the learning hub, or it will take you to, or you can even type DAB, and from there you can visit the DAB website. DAB is Digital Assurance Accounting Board, and you quickly go ahead and you can search for what is called as DCMM, or you can just search for here, Digital Competency Maturity Model. Please click on this. The moment you click on this, my dear friends, it will take you through this document. You notice over here, okay, available in the institute website. For the benefit of all our audience, I will also put it in the chat window so that you can actually pick up clues there. And what this consists of is, I'll quickly take you through that, part of it. Ignore the intro and all this overview. I'll quickly go to where the main content is. I told you section A, section B, section C, and section D. This is the rating mechanism. Section A, how much is the score? Section B, how much is the score? And we also gave a weightage based score. It's not that every question you get 1 mark. There are certain questions you may also get 2 or 3 marks. Okay. Coming to this, yeah, this is the beauty. And let me tell you, the beauty of this checklist or this document is that tomorrow, in case you feel that you need to implement a digitization roadmap for your client, you have the data. It's very simple. Just take this and go ahead and do it, right? So you also have consulting opportunities through this. So section A talks about level of automations of our own firm's internal process. It could be managing a digital identity. A simple example, you have a website. Is that website updated? When was the last time you did it? Very basic and fundamental questions. Second, operational process automation, day-to-day billing and bunch of these things. Redundancy and continuity. A simple example, backing up system. Mobile device and data security, antivirus solutions. Electronic payments and embracing. I still know some firms who are issuing checks through which you make a payment. I still know firms who have to go enter the amount payable to each of the persons, submit, then make the payment. We have gone much beyond it, right? There's a solution by Razorpay where it does free of cost. So by the way, you enter all your employee details and just say submit. Every month it will calculate. All that you have to do is you have to make a payment to an account, which is a sort of a virtual account And from there, the payments gets auto dispersed. My payroll processing, of course, we not a very big team, as even we have about 25 members. My payroll processing was at least taking about half an hour to 1 hour because we had to do some bit of reconciliation. Today it's just 2 minutes. Verify, finalize, make payment to that account, execute, over. So I'm just trying to tell you how simple things are. The question is, have we ready to explore that? Right? Section B talks about your resource pool and availability of resources. Correct? Are your resources digitally equipped? Do they know how to look into an IT infrastructure? They know how are they trained with additional qualification? Do they understand automation? Do they have digital etiquette? What is a digital etiquette? Simple thing, not using a USB pen drive in your office because it is exposed to huge amount of risk. Not sending mails on, you're sending a common mail to all your clients, not sending them on 2 or CC, you have to send them on BCC, are very basic things, right? Are they protected against digital threats? There was a phishing campaign and they accidentally clicked on it. Are they aware of what is a phishing thing? Then comes section C1, C2, C3, where we are looking into automation of specific audit process. For example, if you're an auditor, specifically focusing section C1. If you're doing accounting and tax compliance services, C2. Of course, compliance services, C2. If you're doing accounting and other bookkeeping services, C3. Or if you're into management consulting services, C4. There are a bunch of tools, are we using it, etc. or not. And just an FYI, when we are speaking about this, then we make a mention of various tools also. Okay, so I mean, these are tools at least 2.5 years back. So today technology has obviously gone much ahead. And last is advanced and emerging technologies. Are you using any advanced and emerging technologies? Right? What is the possible communication media? So what could be the possible implication? So those are questions which we can probably, consider that. Now, given this landscape at which things are changing, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to invest time into these resources. Okay. Therefore, it is time that we spend or look into this particular thing. Let's go ahead. The first part, just give me a minute. Yeah. First part, managing digital identity. Now, when it comes to managing digital identity, the first question is, what is the score? How are you managing the digital identity? A simple example. Does your firm have a domain name? What is a domain name? A website. As simple as this. Does your firm have a simple website? Correct? So I have a website. It takes a few seconds to load. It gives you my message and it gives you an indication. So I know that I have a firm website. I know some other firms where there is a domain name, but they don't have a website. Right? So do you have a domain name? Has it been registered? Is the website updated on a regular basis? Correct? Is that website interactive? If you go down here, you will notice that certain things flow, you are noticing certain information, and it is fairly, interesting, right? So you know that what you're going to get into, right? Do you have a corporate email ID? A simple corporate email ID. You have an email ID, email systems, and things like that. So that is where you have it. Do you have a social media presence? Do you have a firm social media presence? Is that updated? Are you regularly posting, etc.? And if you scored yes or no and you got a bad score in this, don't worry. Here is the implementation guide. So what is a domain name? What is the purpose of domain name? How can you choose a domain name? What are the implementation tips? And where can you purchase the domain name? A few examples. Website. What are the things you have to take care in a website? Then you have corporate email ID. What are the things you need to do? So this comes as a very handy guide saying what is it that you have done and what is it that you can do to get better. Right? Next, you have obviously operational firm automation. Do you have an attendance management system? Do you have a mobile device? Do you have an internal communication chats, IM? Do you have a centralized file storage system? I don't know. The list is endless, right? You have various things involved. Okay. So just go ahead and see whether what best you can do and get started. Okay. And then if you move on further, it has something on redundancy and continuity. Very important. Do you have a backing up system? Are you using a hard disk to backup? Okay, I use one solution called Walton. Okay, I was told that majority of his clients are chartered accountants. Quite interesting. A very simple solution. They run an app or an API, what is that called as? An agent in my system. I just choose which are the folders. Every day at a corresponding time, it automatically takes a backup. That's over for me. That's all. I need not break my head into the intricacies. This is set up. And tomorrow, touch wood, even if there is an attack, I at least have last 365 days or whatever my retention period I've retained. I can restore the data. Many of them say I have data in Google Drive. Google Drive is not a backing up solution. It is a synchronization solution. If accidentally data gets deleted or a ransomware attack appears on few folders, it will impact the entire system, right? And problem is you have to restore, you have to go to every single file and individually restore. That's obviously a challenge. Quickly moving further, do you have a mobile device and a data security system? Right? Are there any endpoint security devices which you're using? Do you have an MDM? And the list keeps on going. So essentially what you get from this entire thing is a marks, a scorecard, a checklist enabled scorecard to rate your own firm. And once you know your own rating, you know what are the areas for improvisation, don't you? That's exactly the purpose. Once you're done with that, you have the implementation tools, go ahead and take it. So that's the guide for you. So I already told you DCMM includes implementation guide, practical tips. They are given in a generic form. There are much more things which are advanced. You can go ahead and pick it up. And what do you do in this entire thing? What is the roadmap? First, you start benchmarking. When I say you start benchmarking, you start assessing your own firm, where you stand, what you have to do, where you have to head. Second, you plan initiatives. Okay, I realize that these are things problem with me. This is how I need to solve it. Then identify the resources. It could be monetary. Monetary is okay. Most important is people. Correct? How do I assess the progress? How do I revalidate? How do I perform a peer review? These are questions you need to answer, right? So the DCMM roadmap for moving up to the next level of maturity, those are questions we have to answer. And once you have done that, you go ahead and start deploying them, right? Using these results, how do you can deploy and things like that. So what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to give you a small case study, right? So that it becomes easier for you. Just a minute. I just got lost in which slide we were. Okay, before I go into the, okay, let me touch upon this. A very important thing. How do I prioritize? What is my priority? How do I decide? I've got 5 things. How do I prioritize? And this is where a beautiful matrix, Stephen Covey matrix, it's called, and I'm sure there are much more management gurus who speak of this. What is very interesting about this is this is applicable for DCMM, this is applicable for our practical life, this is applicable in our real time, day-to-day activities. What exactly you do here? Simple. Divide all your tasks into these 4 buckets. Those which are urgent and important. Priority 1. Only you should do it. Those which are not urgent, very important, not urgent, but it is important. Not urgent, but it is important. That means because it is important, you have to do. Because it is not urgent, you need not do it now. That means what you need to do? You need to schedule it. But those which are urgent and which is not important, very, very important. Get this very clear. Oftentimes priority 1, 2, 3, we mix and mess it up. It is something which is very, very urgent, but it is not important. Client wants it right away. But for you, you may have certain other importance. So what you have to do? Delegate it. Delegate it. Something which is urgent but not important, please delegate it. Right? And those which is not urgent, not important, you have the luxury. It could be a Netflix or a new movie series, whatever it is. Right? So a simple example could be, you have a hard deadline which you can't miss it, or it could be deploying work from home solution, IT security solution, that's urgent and important. Not urgent but important, you have to schedule it. Say for example, you wanted to adopt the DCMM. It is not that you have to do it today, but you have to do it sometime. It's not urgent, but it is important. Urgent but not important. Some client requirement, some department, whatever it is, or one-off engagement, you want to implement a solution. or something which is not urgent, not important, you still have a whole lot of time. So I'll probably pick up a small case study. One of these firms, XYZ, ABC, whatever, what they did was they did a self-assessment, a self-evaluation using this DCMM checklist. They've identified that these are the areas where the firm is lacking adoption of technology. So they came up with, section A, level of automation of the firm, non-availability of corporate email ID, no social media presence, no structured leave management, and various things came up. Section B they did for section C1, discipline specific. IT controls are not reviewed, no tool used for audit planning, no automation tools, no CAD tools, all these things they got. So please understand, based on region, based on location, based on the geography, based on your clients, priorities will change. Now, your firm may have probably decided that your high priority is only two things: no centralized server and no structured backup system. Your next medium priority is corporate ID for staff, because @ domain ID matters. And you feel that I don't require a social media. That's your business call. So you are writing a priority as nil. There are a couple of things where you want low, that you want a leave management system, but that's not something you want immediately. Over a point of time is also okay. Likewise, section C, you decided that, hey, I don't have tools for audit planning, which is obviously high priority. I'm not using CAD tools, so that's a medium priority. And maybe no automated tools, that's a low priority. Automated environment, probably my client is just having a simple solution, so not much of automation and things. So nil. So you identify this. Now what do you do after this? The next step is you put in a simple matrix, a simple evaluation. No centralized server management, your priority is high. What is the resources you require? Option 1 is centralized server with all data storage. Option 2, depending upon the type and quantity of data, you go for a server computer or a peer-to-peer computer, right? Or you go with a personal computer, which is a high-end configuration with 1 terabyte hard disk, 4 GB or 8 GB or 16 GB RAM. What is that? SSD hard disk, and a bunch of those things. And you have the vendors and product line. Vendor A, there's the price. Vendor B, there's the price, etc. And then you have the steps involved in deployment. So define this. Likewise, for automated backing up system, define it. Once you start define it, my dear friends, you will realize what is it that you have to choose and how to go. If you want a list of sample vendor solutions or IT solutions, the book is available, DCMM. We have spoken about various players. You can go and pick it up, right? Now, one very important question people ask: what are the activities that in my CA office I can automate? Payroll management, expense management, timesheet, invoice and data reconciliation, document management, task allocation tracking, rolling out checklists, periodical backup, regular periodical backup, return filing, preparation of financials, sending a reminder. So these are all few examples of activities that can be automated typically in a CA office and worthwhile to go ahead and take it up. How do I gear up for this challenge? Now that I know this is the problem, this is where I need to do. First, identify the need, and the need could be now. It could be as simple as writing a simple macro. It could be as simple as, or it could be as complicated as identifying an AI machine learning program. Explore and research. A lot of information is available to you. Once you've done this, test before you give a commitment. Whatever it is, give a test before you commit. And then develop an SOP. Repeatedly do that. Once you're done, measure the results, right? So that's typically how you gear up for the challenge. Remember, the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest opportunities. It's all about how we get started with this. There's another excellent guidance. The first one is Accounting Plus Skill Framework. This is by EY. And this guide gives you a perspective. I mean, more than a framework, I'll say there's more of a good research read. It says that a future of audit, you need to have bunch of these qualifications or, thought process, analytical skills, personal skills, the mindset, accounting knowledge, and technology. The second thing, which is critical, which you can probably worthwhile go ahead and explore, is the various tools which are available. There are a couple of videos available. You can visit my YouTube channel, you'll get a bunch of those things. The third thing, which is very, very interesting, yet another publication by our own ICA, Strategic Roadmap for CA Firms to Operate as Virtual Firms. It was released beginning of this year. It's available in the website. It talks about how roadmap for CA firms can be developed, a digital roadmap. And it talks about a wonderful thought process. Maybe that could be a separate area of discussion one other day on how you can become a virtual firm, etc. We speak about digital strategy, where you want to be, where you want to head to, and that interesting journey. So that's my time. I made it very crisp and very precise, and I want to open it up for Q&A. I normally keep about 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A so that we are able to discuss. I'm always available, accessible on this email ID, and that's my LinkedIn handle. Feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks a lot, sir. And any questions?
Before I forget, just for the information of audience, there is one beautiful e-learning material also available within our own institute. You can go ahead and pick up that. That can also be a good read or weekend homework for you.
Lalit, are there any questions?
No questions, sir.
Okay. So thanks a lot, Narasimhan sir, for your wonderful presentation. It is definitely a very practical aspect which you have touched upon. And the main thing which I like, one of the main thing was time management metrics.
Sorry, I think you're on mute.
You're
on mute. I think we're not able to hear you.
Yeah, now I'm audible.
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Sorry. Thanks a lot, sir, for your wonderful presentation. And it will be definitely useful to all of us in our day-to-day approach. And one of the best thing which I like was the time management metrics, which you divided into 4 categories. And now I request past convener CA Yashesh Chakalia to give you a hearty vote of thanks.
Yes, thanks Vipul bhai. Thanks Vipul bhai for giving me this opportunity to thank Mr. Narasimhan Elangovan from Bangalore, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that all the members present here were having a very good digital competency maturity model understanding. We are thankful to Narasimhanji for providing digital power of the subject and also the time metrics and preparing and giving the PPT presentation. With this, I on behalf of BCSE propose a very well-deserved vote of thanks and request all to join hands virtually. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. And
Thank you so much. I think there are any question answers, I can take it. Otherwise, I don't think there was any Q&A. Or if anybody wants to raise their hand also, otherwise I think we are done.
Yes, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, once again.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And now we have our second session speaker, CA Vikas, sir, who will touch upon audit quality maturity model. And I request again our past convener, CA Lalit, to give a brief introduction of him.
Thank you, sir. Once again, CA Vikas Kasat is a partner with BSR and Company LLP. He qualified in the year 1998. He has more than 25 years of experience of working on statutory audit engagements for corporates in India. He has worked on clients in pharma, auto, logistics, consumer market sectors. He has extensively worked on Ind AS implementation and Ind AS reporting for clients, and also has extensive IFRS experience for global clients. With this very brief introduction, sir, please accept this memento of appreciation on behalf of our study circle.
Thank you.
And will also contribute rupees 500 towards a Chartered Accountant Benevolent Fund on your behalf.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, sir. So you may start your session, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lalit and Vipul bhai. Thank you for coordinating this. We went through a very good session. The introduction of Mr. Elangovan itself was so big, and he did justice to the what he presented on the digital side of the maturity model. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, visible.
Superb, superb. So, we just heard about the digital maturity model. The concept of AQMM is also more or less in a similar manner, where the AQMM of a firm gets evaluated on the various attributes. I will take you through some of my slides which capture all of that. Um, and as Elango did mention that we are in the busy and festive season, I would also try and complete it as early as possible. But feel free to raise your hand. Do you have any queries? For all of us who are chartered accountants, audit quality plays a very important role. And the stakeholders who looks at this financial statement should have confidence, and that's the reason audit quality becomes very important. It is a complex subject, and no analysis of how to measure audit quality has been achieved universally. The audit quality need not be enhanced only at the engagement level, but this maturity model covers what one needs to do at a firm level and also within the firm at a national level. How does one measure audit quality? We've tried to put 4 factors together. One is definitely compliance with law. When you're performing professional work, it has to be in line with the professional standards and applicable to both legal and regulatory requirements. Definitely comply with the whichever firm you work for, or you have your own firm. Ensure that you comply with the quality control policies and procedures. Act with integrity is on the topmost agenda for all of us. So definitely ethical team behavior, where the person who's doing the audit doesn't have fear to ask any questions. And finally, all of this should lead to an appropriate reporting. Why AQMM? We have observed that the comments which typically has come from peer review. This is standard and which is generally emanated from the peer review across. So one is audit documentation is inadequate. Generally, I've seen that in any reviews, people would say that I have done this, and they're able to say what they have done. But if anything which is not documented is as you know is not done. There has been comments on a firm does not have a practice manual or a quality review manual. Management representation letter not been taken, or there is no written communication to those who are charged with governance. Technical standards has not been followed. So this has been largely some of the comments which has come out of peer review. And AQMM gives marks to some of these attributes. As I go into the next slides, you would see that. Before I deep dive into the model, the idea today is just to familiarize you with what AQMM is all about and not to make you an expert. I had the opportunity to work with the convener on couple of sections, and as you say, when something new gets implemented, it also has something which may be which will eventually evolve with more discussion. This is still at an exposure draft level. If anybody wants to see, can go to our institute website and look at the AQMM exposure draft. Some of the objectives, same as what you heard on the digital side of maturity model. the input and output factors that would contribute to an audit quality. And what the institute has done is try to identify in the first phase who all should it be applicable to, and then have AQIs in 3 areas. One is the practice management, which is at the operation level. Second, what the company or what the firms are doing on the human resource side, be it training, be it anything else, performance management and things like that. And finally, the practice management, which is strategic and functional. So what generally get covered in the strategic or functional is whether a firm is empaneled with NHAI or any other regulator to help them do certain kind of work. And then laying down the methodology for deriving. So it is again, anything which you need to measure has to be quantitative. So there are points assigned to each and every attributes. Just give me 1 second, yeah, 1 second. I'm sorry, when you're working from home, people come at odd hours to take your signatures. So my apologies. So what we thought that initially, this should be definitely applicable to all the listed entity. Second, to the firms which do the audits of listed entity. Second, banks definitely. There is a deliberation on whether should we also include firms which does only cooperative banks or multi-state cooperative banks. This is still under discussion. And finally, the firm which audits insurance companies. And there is also a thought that firm which is doing only branch audit should not be covered. There was one thought that should we also cover firms which does audit of companies which has leverage up to a particular level. So these are all evolving, but as of now, this is how it stands. Getting into the first section on the practice management operation side, it has altogether 280 points assigned to it. This is divided between various attributes. I would go through in detail in the next few slides, so I'm not spending time much on this slide here. Similarly, on human resource, approximately 240 points, and practice management strategic is just 80 points. So altogether, a firm get rated on a 600-point matrix, and depending upon what they score, this is how it will look. So if somebody achieves 25% in each and every section, then it indicates that the firm is at a nascent stage and needs to do more. Similarly, 25 to 50%, 50 to 75%, and above 75% indicates that significant adoption of standards and procedures have been implemented, and they take a leadership position. What again, when we are deliberating, is what if in one section you have 25% and in the other you have 75%. So some of this will get addressed, as we see this exposure draft forming up into a final one. I will go into each and every aspect. Maybe I will not go in detail, but I will just flip through that. The first one being, is what is the revenue model of the firm? Is that if more than 50% is received from maybe an audit, then you get 4 points. If no, then it is 0 point. Again, firms which are doing forensic audit, tax audits, so all of that will get captured here. So this is the first attribute within the operation level. Similarly, does the firm has a vision and mission statement, and does it has a forward-looking practice statements? Just having a vision and vision statement may not help. The scoring is based on whether one has it, but eventually, there would be certain qualitative aspect as well, that you may have a mission and vision statement, but how has the firm implemented? What is the tone at the top? All of this will get reflected and will get captured in the points assigned to the firm. Do the firm has audit manuals containing the firm's methodology and other compliances? If it is yes, then definitely there's a point. If not, then you don't get a point. Whether the firm has a standard formats of LOE, representation letter, work papers, report and implementation thereof. The list is long, and the committee also discussed that should we have some more in this. So again, evolving topic. whether quality review manuals or audit tools used. So some of this digital will also come here, whether what kind of audit tools are used by, by the firm, and accordingly, there is a points assigned to it. Similarly, standard checklist, availability of standard formats for audit documentation, how one use data analytics, are the documents related to quality control mentioned from 1 to 6 above are reviewed and are revisited frequently. So all of this, so it's like a question, and you say yes, no, you get points, and if you see, when I was talking about comments which came from peer review, some of this will definitely get addressed once you start looking at this checklist, and management implements those checklists to score high on an overall points which a firm can secure. Similarly, on how does the delivery happens? Does the firm carry out a capacity planning for each engagement? What I mean here is, if an audit requires 5 people, are there 5 people on that audit? So capacity planning. Similarly, how is the budgeting exercise done? Say if you see, how many weeks, days would be spent on an engagement, and then how do you compare that with the actuals? It also says that have you offshored the budget by 10%, 20%, 30%? So this shows that how accurate one is in terms of effort monitoring, and how does the budget and actual stack to each other. So depending upon what you achieve on this budget versus actual analysis, the firm gets points assigned to it. The flip side of this is, just to meet budgets, will people cut corners? So that's the qualitative side of it. I'm sure, we're talking about maturity model here. The organization would definitely look at maturity of the people to ensure that both the quantitative and qualitative expectation is handled in the right manner. This is the part where Mr. Elango covered in his presentation that how much digital is the organization, and then accordingly a points assigned to it. This is specific to engagements that whether in the quality reviews were they satisfactory, or how many comments came. Does the firm have a partner review, quality review for all audit assignments, or depending upon high risk assignments? So all of this will lead to a points assigned to the firm. Suppose a firm go through a quality review, and out of 10 engagements, say 2 gets certain significant improvement points. So depending upon that, the points get assigned to the firm. And similarly, documentation of the firm, whether it is in accordance with the statement of quality control 1. So again, I don't want to get into detail, but depending upon what the firm has, it gets the relevant points attached to it. Similarly, for the quality control further, does the firm have accounting, auditing resources? Yes. Whether the company has, if there is a consultation, how the consultation is documented, if the firm has a technical desk. So all of this which adds to the quality is all captured in the AQMM, and accordingly the firm scores the points. Similarly, the benchmarking of the delivery, the actual delivery, whether the documentation captures the methodology the way it should have been, whether all the documentation is in line with audit manual of the firm, whether they have followed practice standards and tools, the number of statutory audit engagements reworked, was there a restatement, or there any filing errors, whether enough information to conclude on the opinion. So all of this at the service level, the points get scored basis what the firm has done on a particular engagement. Similarly, whether any client disputes, and how they were addressed. This doesn't talk about the fee related dispute, and again, the points have been assigned. Important topic: how some of the matters which may have sensitivity involved, how the client sensitization has been done, whether enough documentation, or how the client has been updated on the audit issues, effectiveness of the process communication with the management, how those charged with governance were communicated of some of these sensitive matters, how often was the client updated. Like, these are very typical process which we go through as part of the audit, and now there would be points attached to it. So an organization scoring high on all of this definitely will score overall high percentage or high points. Technology adoption, I'm not going in detail. This is what Elango also covered in his presentation. What are the various digitization done in the firm across various things? For documentation, what tool they use? Does the organization use data and analytics? When they do data and analytics, what kind of tools they use? Do they have a digital library? How is the client interactions? Is the client interactions done only through secured email, or you tend to use Rediff mail or Gmail, which are less secured? So it captures all of that, and accordingly the points are assigned. Similar thing, this all got captured in Elango's presentation. Awareness and adoption, again similar lines. This is more of technology. The next part is the revenue budgeting and pricing. I briefly touched in my earlier slide whether this is whether the client-wise revenue is in compliance with the code of ethics. So some of this is there in the code of conduct, right? 15% of your firm's revenue should not be concentrated in one client, or 40%, sorry. So all of this also gets captured, and the firm secures points on that. Similarly, did the firm charge fees which is below the minimum threshold prescribed by ICI? If yes, then that firm doesn't score anything. So this is typically, if you would have seen right from the 1.1 to 1.9 is very typical, which is there on each and which is there in each and every firm. Whatever size and scale at which one operates, whether be it LLP or sole proprietor or partnership. All of this is definitely part and parcel, and then you get rated on each and every aspect, and this checklist would be available, so a firm can start implementing some of them right from word go. Getting into the human resource management part, what it captures. Again, we heard from an operations part how resource is important. So here also it talks about the second part, which is on the back end, what happens on the resource planning and monitoring. Does the entity have a process of employee resource, processes of employee, like what skill set is required? Does the engagement has the right kind of skill? What are the various ways of methods, tools used by the firm for resource allocation? Today somebody has an experience, say, on aviation sector, somebody may have on pharma sector. Does the firm has enough planning and monitoring tool that the right skill set is matched to the right engagement? Is there a process of tracking what an employee is doing in an engagement? So typically, for people you have timesheet. So whether a timesheet has been completed in the right manner, and all of this, if yes, gets a point, and if no, it doesn't. The firm doesn't secure any point. Similarly, what are the ratio maintained? Each organization has a ratio that for one partner you may have 2-3 managers, and for 3 managers you may have say 5 qualified, and if you have 5 qualified, then it should have 7 article trainees. The article trainees, definitely there's a institute rule within which you have to have those many number of article trainees. But this is where the staff ratio is mentioned, and if it is right, then definitely you secure point. Similarly, does the firm also monitor utilization and realization rate per employee? Higher the utilization, more the risk that an employee may not have enough time to spend on an engagement. So again, the realization has to be at the right manner. Does the firm document the resource plan for each engagement? Again, this is really engagement specific, and what goes. Some of the firms use tools for doing their staff planning. So this is all how this has been used and how effective is that gets covered under this head. The next part is training and development. Very important. Even our institute has a requirement of CPERs, to ensure that we do get trained on areas of interest and build up those skill sets which is used to do your normal work. Most of the organization has a strong training and development in today's time. Things are so fast, evolving, changing. There are too many updates. when I did my CA 25 years back, but when I compare now, there's a new Income Tax Act, there's new Companies Act, the accounting standards have changed. Unless one updates himself or herself, all of us would become redundant. So it is important that employee training and development plays a key role, and accordingly, we thought that some points would be assigned to this as well. In the similar lines, similarly on the performance management, how does the performance get rated, and whether an organization has a strong employee performance management culture, that high performing employees get rewarded accordingly, is what gets monitored here. And similarly, people with high levels of quality and ethics. So here it's not only about somebody getting high fees on a client, but it is more on quality, how seeing the integrity and ethics thing and things like that. Employee turnover has become the demand for CA is very high. We've all seen, and the turnover of employees have increased in most of the organizations, whether it is large organization or the smaller organization. Even I've seen that in industry, the finance professionals turnovers are very, very high. So this is where we see how does the firm looks after the turnover, what are the various means and measures they are put to keep it to a minimum level, and accordingly get rated on the various points on this. Other attributes within the resource turnover and compensation management. I'm not going in detail. All of these attributes are available on the institute's website, and it is good that you should go through this and use some of these checklists to make maybe your firm more stronger. Again, it covers each and every part. Access and use of technology, coaching and mentoring, whether there is enough diversity, in the audit, and within the audit profession, not only at the staff level but also at the leadership level. So this is all getting captured here. Similarly, what are the leave policies? Whether the article trainees get enough time to study for their exams? Are there special policies to provide people time to rejuvenate? Any established mechanism to listen to people and their views, generally in terms of what's happening within the organization? What are how high standards do an organization keep in recruiting people, in assessing them, and whether they are fit to the job and the culture of the organization? So, if you see various attributes gets captured here, and accordingly, for us, people are the only asset apart from your general, the IT related aspect. So if you don't get people right, then definitely there is a problem, and hence, a lot of points have been given to the employee management here. Similarly, on an engagement, you definitely need a lot of other attributes. Just being a CA would not help. So, typically, if you have, say, a tax working to be seen, maybe a person who has more of tech knowledge would be useful. If there is an IT audit to be done, then definitely you would need somebody who has more of an IT experience. So within the audit team, how some of these additional skill sets which is required to conduct an audit is required, and how does that organization fulfill this? So how an experts get recruited and placed in an audit engagement. So all of this becomes very, very important and critical. I just covered that. So some of the performance. So what are the various KPIs? How the performance evaluation process happens? So this is actually in detail. So when you actually see, this captures each and every area of the human resource management. If you even just see on this slide, does the firm has a written KPI? There is a decided frequency. How often does that employee gets evaluated? What are the various measurement tools which has been used? Like I know bell curve is one of them, where how the employee in the 1 and 2, 1 and 2 being the best gets rated. 15% of your population can be in 1 and 2. The largest chunk should be in your 3 category, where it is like around 40-50%, and then in the last category, which is 4 and 5, should be the list. So this is one of the tools used by a lot of organizations. and our engagement partners reviewed, and also whether the leadership also gets reviewed in some of the other manner. So very beautifully written, and I think assigning points to all of them is good, and this will only help in the organization becoming more mature on the people related matter as well. So as you saw on the HR management, every aspect, right from recruitment, training, development, appraisal, to putting them on an engagement, to ensuring their career path, and definitely the attrition aspect as well. So every aspect of the practice management from people perspective gets captured in this module of AQMM. The last part, which is on the strategic and functional, maybe this has the lowest number, but we will just go through it. What we see here is, does the firm has a right level of mix? It should not be that a firm has only partners which are 1 or 2 years. So if you have to do a large complex engagement, definitely not only the education but experience also will matter. So it sees that does the firm have a balanced mix of experience and new assurance partners, and accordingly get rated. Similarly, does the firm is in compliant with the ICA Code of Conduct or Companies Act 2013, and it meets all the professional independence and conflict of interest related attributes. Does the firm has a whistleblowing policy? Like we've seen on most of the audits which we do, or most of the company has a whistleblower. Similarly, does the firm also has a whistleblower policy? And if it is there, then definitely you score points, and if it is not there, then you score. Now this is the quantitative aspect. Now qualitative would be what did one do when there was a whistleblower? Okay, so the whistleblowing policy said that a particular person in the organization is not doing the audit well, he's just doing tick in the boxes. So once that whistleblower has come, what did that firm do to ensure and bringing that whistleblower matter to a logical conclusion? So that's the qualitative side. Maybe those also will get captured as this maturity model keeps evolving. This talks about how many branches and the firm has, whether there are multiple firms within the same firm, network of firms. This all gets captured as part of what kind of an infrastructure does the firm has. Similarly, you see whether each branches are decentralized or they are centralized, and accordingly the points gets scored on that. What are the various security measures taken by the company? Say do anybody without say ID card of the firm, tailgates, what are the policies surrounding that? So all of this gets captured here, so that there is a secured access to only people who are eligible or who can enter a particular premise. Similarly, are there enough data and analytics tool and IT infrastructure available to carry out the engagements? Again, this is more from a strategic point. If you've seen, all of this is captured right at the operation stage and also at strategic and functional stage. That's the importance of this matter. Similarly, does the infrastructure have enough Wi-Fi, VPN, remote working is possible? In today's time, we have seen that over the last 1.5 years, most of us have been remote working. And does the firm has enough infrastructure? Does the IT platforms are secured? All of this are getting captured here. Similarly, the firm is whether it is ICAI peer review certified firm. Very tricky point, empanelment with RBI and CNAG. Not many firms also enroll themselves or empanel themselves with CAG because they would not want to do the audits of those companies. So again, if the firm has decided, when we are still discussing in terms of what should be, if they have decided strategically not to get empaneled with CAG or NHAI or any other regulator, then how do we score them? Similarly, if you are CAG empaneled, whether the firm is got blacklisted for poor performance. If yes, then there is a negative marking here or a 0 point, depending upon what the outcome is. So this practice credentials becomes very, very important. Similarly, have any government bodies evaluated the performance of the firm to the extent of debarment and blacklisting? So be it RBI, whether RBI has debarred you for something, or you debarred a particular firm in any manner, or you cannot do the audit, which is CAG audit or an NHAI audit for the matters related to performance of the audit. So again, if you see, it is very right to do a negative marking, not only zero marking, but negative marking on all of this negative thing. Similarly, any negative assessment from QRB, if QRB is referred any particular matter on a review done by them, then definitely, if it is very serious and leading to the actual conduct of the audit, definitely there is a negative marking. Similarly, has there been any case of professional misconduct on the part of the member and he's proven guilty? Then what? Then again, it's a negative marking. Even though he may be one of the partner or maybe one of the many people working there, but definitely the firm scores negative depending upon how bad is the misconduct. So I thought I will cover. So this is just a summary of what an AQMM is all about. I had thought that I would take 35 to 40 minutes to cover this, and then maybe definitely do a Q&A with you. I hope I have done justice to what AQMM is all about, and at least you have a flavor what is coming your way, as part of this. So Vipul, I have tried capturing all of this and would be happy to take any questions people would have. Again, it is more, the session today was more to familiarize them. And once the draft becomes final, which will take some time because now nothing would happen till the time the election happen and the results come. So maybe somewhere in Feb, March, we should redo it once this becomes final. So Vipul, Lalit, over to you. People, you're on mute.
Yeah. So one question is there.
Yes, please.
Hello. Yeah. Is this assessment based on self-evaluation of the firm, or will ICI peer review team will be vetting this ratings and evaluations? We have from Bhavish Gata.
Superb. So this is both. Initially, the firm will have to do it, but definitely, there would be a review conducted by the ICICI folks to assess them, because self-assessment may not always help. So there would definitely be a review conducted from an institute perspective.
Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. I think there are no other Q&As. And sir, it was a brilliant session, and you have shared your PPT with your rich experience. And now I request CA Yashish Jakelia to present a well-deserved vote of thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Vipul Bhai. Thanks, Vipul Bhai, for giving me this opportunity to thank Mr. CA Vikas Kasat ji. He has presented audit quality maturity model in a very detailed manner. And I am sure that all the firms will be interested in going through the audit quality maturity model through this and to perform the better way. I thank for giving and sharing the presentation and PPT preparation in a very detailed manner. Thank you, Vikas ji. On behalf of BCSC, I would propose a very well-deserved vote of thanks and request all to have a very good virtual vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hello.
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Vikas, sir, once again.
Yes, already switched off.
Yes,
Okay.
you can stop it.
Yeah, he is gone.
Okay.
His net is disconnected.